Hi, this is Wishop, and this is going to be a Gypsy Witch card reading for the Aquarius full moon of August 15th. It's happening just a little before 9 a.m. Eastern time here, and it's kind of exciting because a lot of good luck things are shifting in big ways. So the first thing I'll mention is Mercury, by the time of this full moon, is completely out of its shadow. It went direct a little while ago, but now it's getting back to 4 degrees Leo, which is where it was when it started retrograding. So that's nice. And then Jupiter went direct on August 11th. So now Jupiter stationed, which was very lucky because it makes it kind of heavy in its sign. And it is going direct again in Sagittarius, which is its home sign. Jupiter is the great benefic, and it wants to bless while it's in Sagittarius. Venus, which is invisible right now because it's conjunct the sun, it's in the rays of the sun, is joining the sun at 22 degrees of Leo. Venus and the sun get along well. In Babylonian and Sumerian tradition, they're siblings. Utu or Shamash, the sun, is the sibling of Venus or Inanna. So when they visit each other, it's actually perfectly nice. But I think Venus in her invisible phase, as I mentioned in the last video, is very powerful. One thing I will also mention is Venus is just finishing up one of her 8-year cycles. 8 Earth years for Venus are 13 of her years. She will have gone around the sun 13 times in the time that we experience 8 years. So let me see if I can shift this in. This is from John Carlos Baez, B-A-E-Z. Oh, good, you can see it there. .wordpress.com, so go take a look at it. He's actually got a lot more writing on this topic, so if you don't understand it yet or you want to learn a little more, he has put together this graphic. This dot at the center is Earth, and the big yellow ball is the sun, and the little sort of pale one is Venus. So from the position of the Earth, if we stand still on the Earth and we just chart where the sun is and we chart where Venus is in the sky, she appears to make this 5-pointed flower, which is where the pentagram comes from, and where the divine feminine's connection to the pentagram, to the deep earth, because Venus has been tied to love and money, to abundance and fertility. This is part of where all that connection comes from, or another reinforcement for all of that connection. So you can see the way Venus goes away from the earth on her orbit around the sun and then comes in close. And every time she comes in close, she makes another little petal of this flower. Anyway, so that's the star, the pentagram of Venus. And it's important because it runs an 8-year cycle. And we're in that 8-year cycle right now. And as it happens, I've had some good luck recently. I've made a sort of I've been able to get a job change that I was looking for and sort of a status change that I was looking for. And I realized when it was brought to my attention where we are in the Venus cycle, I was doing the same thing 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I was starting a completely different sort of career that brought me in contact with a bunch of different people. It gave me a title I'd never had before. It gave me a kind of sphere of interactions I'd never had before, and I'm doing it again. Whole new position, whole new title. I mean, I've been training for it, I've been preparing for it, but now I'm actually making the jump. So you might want to look back to 2011, the summer of 2011. Were you making some big status change, some big change in your love, in your money, something like that? Because if you identify that, then you can be sure that you're a person who's deeply affected by the Venus cycles. And that means you should be looking around now for opportunities for luck. This ties in strongly to the reading from last week, where, or not last week, but the last moon, the new moon, where I said, you may get great things that you've wanted, you know, dreams coming true, and you might feel like an ingrate for asking for more. That is exactly the situation where I have found myself, and other people I know have found themselves, that there is a great deal of sweetness, but it's not perfect. So maybe some of these transitions have come with hard parts, difficulties. So you're making a great transition, but there's some hurdles that you have to get over. And asking for help with those hurdles might seem ungrateful, like, oh, I just got everything I wanted, but I kind of wish this were going to be easier. And seeming like asking for that, it might seem like asking for that is ungrateful, but it isn't. And I know some people who've had some nice things happen in the middle of some hard things. Usually when we're asking for change or begging for it, we only want the bad things to change, right? The things that we're not happy with, we want those to change, and we don't want any of the things that we're satisfied with to move. But a lot of times in times like this, everything moves together. So you're finding yourself with blessings and challenges just sitting right next to each other. But this is about changing your life and making your dreams come true. So don't be afraid to ask for more. Anyway, we're going to get to the cards again. I'm doing the Gypsy Witch again because I like it. Also because I was realizing, having changed my job so many times, which I have done, I am kind of a gypsy, and maybe that's why I like this deck, even though this deck is also not all the time sweet. It does put the salt with the sweet, and I think that kind of fits this time period too. So here's going to be our central card, which is us. I have to kind of squeeze this together. I may get a better sort of decision on how to film this in the future, but for now we're just going to stick with it. So this card represents us and our major concerns. Oh, here we go. The Rider, for sure. The Jack of Diamonds. We are making changes. Usually if it's a red card, you think of it as pretty positive. The Jack of Diamonds, if we think of it like the Jack of Pentacles, you might think of it as a steady, reliable kind of card. But really, in this context, I think about it as going the cycles. It is related to cycles of change. And the Rider, which is good news, is also related to change. This is a highly mercurial card, and Mercury is now heading direct for us again. So it's going to be a powerful time. Mercury is in Leo right now. But basically Mercury is sort of ascendant, right? At the birth time of this moon, Mercury is sort of in what we might call like the 12th house, so to speak. So there will be endings and the need to communicate endings forcefully. So where you're having to make transitions and you might have to cut something else off to bring in something new, you may feel the need to communicate that with a great deal of clarity and even creativity. But this is what we're worried about. We're navigating change. We're trying to make change. We're trying to get through changes. We're trying to initiate changes. And that's where our head is at. And actually, that's great because that's where it should be at. There's a lot of opportunity out right now if you're looking for it. And I am telling people who I'm talking to about these topics to dream big right now. Think big. Maybe not everything will come through right away, but things definitely do happen. And they happen sort of in line with the way you frame your focus. So it makes perfect sense to me that we're thinking about change. So let's look. This is us. But let's look at the situation sort of down deep, the subconscious things we might not be acknowledging, and the stuff that we're actually worried about, like anxieties, top of mind. Okay, we get the house again. We got that in the center last time, if you recall. That was our central card. Ah, here we go. Number 29. The mouse denotes loss by theft. Nearby, it denotes recovery after great difficulties. But distant, the loss will be irretrievable. What I like about the mouse is I think of this as a Taurian card. It has to do with your stuff. What's being taken away, nibbled away, are things in the kind of shape you want them, sort of second housey kind of issues. And this would be sort of fourth house, home and family, nearest and dearest. You will notice that we have these two sixes, the sort of positive red six and the black spade six, against each other in a way. So if this were the Six of Cups in tarot, we would have a person giving another person sort of a gift. In the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, there'd be sort of a giving of something. And in this one, if this were the traditional Six of Spades, we'd be seeing sort of a rescue or a bailout. And so I really like the way that these cards offset each other. Like, things are kind of stable and safe in some ways where you are. And so you may be worried, and I've really seen this with other people, that by changing, you're going to lose something. If I make a change because some things are good now, and this really just wraps right into the last reading, if things are good now, if any things are nice now, if things feel warm and companionable and comfortable, especially in relations with people, and I make a change, what if I lose something? What if I lose their affection? What if I lose this relationship? What if I, in some way, create rough waters for myself? I want to be moving out because of my own wishes. I don't want to be pushed out, if that makes sense. And so the idea sometimes with, excuse me, the Six of Swords is that you feel like you have to be bailed out or rescued from some difficult situation. You've got rough waters and you're trying to make them smooth. And here, things look just cozy as can be. So deep down, I feel like we've got the same issues where it's like, look, things aren't that bad. Do I have a right to go for more? What if I lose? What if I make this move and I lose? What if making a change is a recipe for disaster, and it means I'm taking something for granted, which I feel has been a theme. And it's a sort of a theme that makes your mindset all about loss instead of about going for what you want. It can be very hard to keep the focus on things that you want or things that you're desirous of changing, because you can see as you make a step in that direction, other things change around you. And as I was talking about earlier, sometimes in difficult ways, ways that might be out of your control, ways that you didn't anticipate. And so you get scared and think, well, maybe I just shouldn't move. Maybe by moving, I'm causing problems for myself. Maybe I'm creating trouble. Maybe I should stay put in my sweet little house and not risk loss, not risk conflict. Because mice to me also reflects multiples of things. So it can be our interactions with people. So I'm going to turn these hearts upside down into these spades. See what I mean? I'm going to turn my life upside down just to make this change. Am I going to get anything good out of it? I mean, I would say given this particular time of year and the astrological sort of environment, you do have an opportunity to make great changes out of it. But let's see a little bit sort of on the event side, sort of past and future. Okay, so number 21, the stork, denotes change of residence for the better, sooner or later, depending on the distance from which it lies from the person. And in this case, I'm not using a significator, I'm using the central card. So this represents a change for the better. And because this is the Seven of Cups, which is a positive anyway, but it also represents sort of mastery of your desires, I feel like, in a way, this current situation doesn't reflect reality. It just reflects cold feet, because really you made this decision a while ago. You knew what you wanted. You decided what you wanted. The change was already being made in your heart and mind. Now that you're actually going through it, you're getting cold feet and you're getting a little afraid. What if I lose? What if I screw it up? What if I don't get the help and the support I need? You know, this can be a question too of support. You know, with these sixes, sixes are cards of responsibility. So you might say, well, are people going to see me as shirking some previous responsibility in order to go for something that's pie in the sky, right? And then they're going to need to bail me out because I got myself into trouble because I decided I wanted something more. Well, one thing I will tell you is for the people in your life, it's almost always more convenient if you don't change too much, because they're thinking about the ways in which maybe they would like to change. And certainly if you have figures in your life who are paternal or maternal, that might be signaled by Cancer or this card, they sleep better at night when you're not changing too much, because they know that you're okay where you are, and sometimes that's the absolute top thing. So their encouragement for you to go out and make wild, drastic changes is going to be small. And there are also people, maybe people in your life who depend on you to be the same. You are a fixture in their lives in some way. You are a little, teddy bear on their shelf. And now you're like, I'm actually going to change. And that is upsetting their apple cart, right? That's turning their settled life upside down. But that isn't your main concern, because your job here is to give birth to your best life. You can't live theirs for them. And this looks to me like you already made this decision, which is how things got set into motion in the first place. You already made the decision that you were ready to move. You already made the decision of what you wanted. But now that things are getting more real, or maybe they're just getting quite possible, you're seeing the path forward, or there's news about developments that will make it possible, you're getting kind of cold feet. And it's probably related to the other people in your life. And because 6 also represents like the lover's choice, this could, of course, be a romantic relationship that you're thinking about leaving, getting out of, or a new one that you're getting into, which might be uncomfortable for your friends, or maybe an ex, or, you might have children and you're going to have to navigate that. Lots of different situations that can play out. But I'm looking at you like sort of trying to navigate that, and you're worried that people will think you're being irresponsible, or that their lives, their settled lives get turned upside down. I had another thought. I was grabbing on it and now I've lost it. Let's go here. Let's see what happens. Okay. So number 35 is the Tower. It says, the Tower surrounded by clouds denotes sickness, and if adjoining, death. So, but this is the 10 of clubs. So clubs are a suit related to work. So what you're trying to do is going to be work. There is no way around it. This change that you're trying to make is going to be work, because even if you got really lucky, I consider myself to have gotten lucky in the new position I landed, but it's going to be a ton of work. In fact, once I landed it, I found out exactly how much work it was going to be, and a lot more than I anticipated. But I still feel lucky. I'm still happy. In a way, one of the phrases that I use for the 10 of clubs or the 10 of wands is high class problems. Too many clients. More business than you know what to do with. So yes, there are going to be challenges. There's going to be work ahead, but there's also fulfillment, because 10 of clubs is also it also reflects a status change. It reflects you've gotten through the 9 of clubs. You've gotten through this fulfillment of something that you've worked hard for. And now, in a way, because I see the tower, this particular tower, I also notice is a church steeple. So I think of things like making it official. There's some way in which there's some change you have to make official. Oh, here's the thing I forgot. I'm so glad. Okay, so these two things can relate to choice, these two 6s. So chances are where you are right now, you can get out of it. You're a rider heading toward a new jump, but you don't have to take that jump if you don't want to. And if you really see it as being bad for you, and maybe there'll be something better down the line, you've made up your mind, maybe this opportunity isn't the right one, you can choose right now to bail out. You can get out of it. You can, send an email and say thanks, but no thanks. You can decide that you don't want to make that move. You can decide it's not the right time for me to start a new relationship or with this kind of person, because you are probably pretty clear-eyed now that Mercury's direct, and you can see it's going to be work. You can see it. You can see that making this official, bringing it to culmination. For me, this is also a card of the marketplace. So bringing things to market, if it's a business card, but, getting things finally ready. Like you can think of this also as a sort of a grand opening card, like opening for business, like all of this stuff you have to do to make something official. You can see it's going to be work. You can see that this change, which you longed for and you hoped for, is within your grasp, and it's going to be a ton of work. Does that mean you don't want it? Well, it looks like it's your choice to make. The auspices are very good, and I have to say, cosmically, the situation looks great. But I will also say that the luck is so strong right now that if you really ask yourself deep inside whether or not this opportunity is the one worth taking a risk for, and your deep inside answer, or your answer through prayer or meditation or divination or any other system that you like to use that feels like it gives you good information, talking to your friends, talking to your favorite counselors, if you really feel deep inside that it's not the fulfillment of your dreams, you can bail out. But if when you think about it, because these two things are tied together, right? We have this deep inside, you're safe. You can stay where you are or you can move, and you will be safe in either situation. This is just your choice about what you want. If you decide to move, could be a lot of work. That doesn't mean it won't be worth it. Sometimes the biggest things in life take a lot of work, but they're so worth it. So it's really all up to you to decide. If you feel like you haven't seen this lucky opportunity that just challenges the very heart of you, then go back and think more about what you want and look around. Just open your eyes and be willing to see what opportunities there might be out there. Because right now, I think if you're not seeing some big opportunities for change, it may be just because you haven't gotten quite clear enough about what you want. And that's fine. I mean, that happens. But for those of you who do know kind of what you want, chances are you're being confronted with a big decision that's going to mean big changes, but big sort of official life changes. So whatever you decide to do and whatever it is you're facing, I wish you all the best. And until next time, rock on with your bad selves.